Imagine this.
Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is secretly texting a person they shouldn't be. If they're caught, it might lead to an argument. Maybe a breakup. Maybe a divorce. Maybe months of awkward therapy sessions. But what if this happened 3,000 years ago? What if one text message could cost you your life? Because for most of human history, cheating wasn't seen as a private mistake. It was considered a threat to families, governments, and even entire civilizations. And the punishments? They were absolutely terrifying. People were drowned, publicly beaten, exiled to remote islands, disfigured for life. And in one ancient society, the punishment was so bizarre that historians still struggle to believe it actually happened. But here's the strangest part. Despite thousands of years of brutal punishments, people never stopped cheating. So why did ancient civilizations fear adultery so much? And which society created the most horrifying punishment of all? Let's find out. Babylon, the river of death. Our story begins nearly 4,000 years ago. In ancient Babylon, a powerful city filled with merchants, temples, and massive walls. This civilization created one of the oldest law codes in human history, the famous Code of Hammurabi, carved into a giant black stone pillar, standing over 7 feet tall, so everyone could see the laws. And among those laws was one that terrified people. Law number 129. If a married woman was caught having an affair with another man, both people would be tied together and thrown into a river.
Alive.
Imagine that. No trial, no counselor, no second chance. Just ropes, water, and death. But there was one twist. The husband could choose to forgive his wife. If he did, the king could pardon the other man too. The fate of 2 lives rested entirely in the hands of one person. And that tells us something important.
In Babylon,
Adultery wasn't mainly about love. It was about power, property, and control. But Babylon's punishment wasn't the end of the story. Because hundreds of miles away, another civilization had an even crueler idea. Egypt, a punishment worse than death? Ancient Egypt is remembered for pyramids, pharaohs, gold treasures, and incredible engineering. But according to ancient accounts, its punishment for adultery could be shocking. If a man was caught cheating, he could receive hundreds of brutal blows. But women often faced something even worse. Their noses could be cut off. Think about that for a moment. The goal wasn't simply pain. The goal was permanent humiliation. Every person she met for the rest of her life would immediately know something terrible had happened. There would be no hiding, no escaping, no starting over. The punishment followed you forever. Your own face became the evidence. And yet, even that wasn't enough to stop people. Because human nature is complicated. And nowhere was that more obvious than ancient Greece. Athens, the city of democracy. And revenge. When most people think of Athens, they think of philosophy, democracy, and brilliant thinkers like Socrates and Plato. But Athenian laws could be surprisingly harsh. For Athenians, adultery wasn't just an offense against a husband. It was considered an attack on the entire household. And by extension, an attack on society itself. If a husband caught another man with his wife, the consequences could be severe. In some situations, the husband could legally kill the man on the spot. No murder charge, no prison, no questions asked. But what happened next is even stranger. Ancient writers describe humiliating punishments designed not just to hurt, but to completely destroy a man's social status. The goal wasn't merely punishment. It was public disgrace. To make sure everyone knew what happened. And once your reputation was destroyed, your future was destroyed too. But then, something incredible happened. Just a short distance away, another Greek civilization looked at cheating completely differently. Sparta, the city with no adultery? Ancient Sparta was unlike any society in history. Everything revolved around strength,
discipline,
and producing powerful warriors. So when it came to relationships, Spartans followed rules that shocked outsiders. According to ancient sources, Some arrangements that other societies called adultery were actually allowed in Sparta. Why? Because Spartans cared less about romance and more about creating strong future generations. Imagine traveling from Athens to Sparta. One city might punish you severely. The other might not consider it a crime at all. Same region. Same era. Completely different beliefs. And it raises a fascinating question. If morality changes depending on where you live, then what is considered right or wrong? But while Greece debated the issue, a growing superpower was preparing to take things even further. Rome. Rome, when cheating became a crime against the state at first. Rome treated adultery as a family matter. Families handled their own problems. But then came a ruler who believed society was falling apart. His name was Augustus. And he decided to act. In 18 BC, he passed laws that transformed adultery into a crime against the state itself. This was no longer just about husbands and wives. The Roman government became involved. Punishments included exile, loss of property, loss of social status, and public disgrace. Suddenly, your private life wasn't private anymore. The government was watching. And here's the most dramatic part. Augustus enforced the law on his own family. His daughter, Julia the Elder, was accused of adultery. Most rulers would have protected their family. Augustus did the opposite. She was exiled, separated from society, and spent years isolated. The message was clear. Nobody was above the law, not even the emperor's daughter. But while Rome preferred exile, other societies preferred something far more public and far more painful. Public shame, a fate worse than death across parts of ancient Europe. Punishments focused on humiliation, not execution.
Humiliation.
Because some societies believed destroying a person's reputation was worse than killing them. Imagine being dragged through your village, surrounded by neighbors, friends, family, everyone watching, everyone judging, and knowing that your social life was over forever. You wouldn't lose your life. You would lose your place in the world. And for many people, that was even more terrifying. OUTRO, so the next time you hear about a celebrity scandal, a cheating controversy, or a messy breakup, remember this. You are witnessing something humans have struggled with for thousands of years. The technology changed. The laws changed. The punishments changed. But the behavior remained surprisingly similar. 3,000 years ago, getting caught could mean drowning in a river. Today, it might mean an angry text message. The stakes became smaller, but the story never really changed. And that raises one final question. If even the harshest punishments in history couldn't stop people from cheating, could anything ever truly stop it? Let me know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating journeys into the strange, shocking, and unbelievable stories of the ancient world.